Remember in secondary school when your English teacher had you memorize verbs, especially to conjugate them in the past? Well, you're going to have to dust off that chart again because we are going to pay attention now to the third column of irregular verbs. And the third column has past participles. If it's an irregular verb in the past, the word never uses ed. It in fact changes completely, or sometimes it doesn't change at all. So let's pay attention to that as we look at present perfect verbs. Present perfect verbs look like this. They have a subject, they have the verb have or has, and they include the past participle that I just showed you, that third column. If the subject, don't forget, if the subject has he, she, is he, she, or it, you have to use has as the conjugation. Where does a present perfect verb form situate in the timeline? The present perfect is an action in the past, and for some reason, it influences the present or now. We're going to look at some examples. But before I go on, let me repeat. If the verb normally ends with ed, then the past participle will also be ed at the end. But if the verb is an irregular verb in the past, then the past participle will also be irregular and does not have ed. So when do we use it? Here's my first example. An action that started in the past and continues to now. So if we look on the timeline again, that action started in the past, it continues to now, it tells the whole story. For example, my husband and I have lived in Valleyfield for many years. That tells the whole story that we moved in the past to Valleyfield, and we continue to live in Valleyfield now, without having to explain anything more. The present perfect verb does that. If we go to the second example, for an action that stopped recently, she has just finished fixing her car. And I put the word just to mean extremely recently finished fixing her car. Notice that these two verbs were regular verbs. They use ed. Now, there is evidence that the action started in the past and has recently stopped. For example, she's standing beside the car. She's a little bit dirty. She looks really happy because she has finished. So all of that points to now, even though the action was already started in the past and finished. The third example is, I have lost my keys. It's an action that happened in the past and it still influences now because I'm still looking for my keys. Oh, there they are. So, I have lost my keys. I'm still looking for them. That's an action that you can see influences the present. Number 4, the action happened at some time before now. And I like to explain again with the elastic, but here, let's take the elastic as my trip to Australia. That is a past trip. It's finished. It stays in the past, unless we are at a party and you asked me the question, have you been to Australia? And I said, yes, I have been to Australia. And now we are bringing that trip into the present by using the present perfect. And that is the context. The trip was in the past, but the context is I want to talk about it now. And that's the fourth reason we would use it. Can you guess if I have been to Australia? Actually, I have. And that is how you use the present perfect form.